One of my students once texted me, Dennis, can you borrow me your umbrella? Can you borrow me your umbrella? So I replied, only if you can remind me what that means. She paused, then laughed, ha ha ha, and said, wait, is it wrong? Is that wrong? And I said, yeah, but it's not a big deal. Because, listen, even native speakers mix words up sometimes. Words like borrow and lend, remember and remind, they feel similar, and they are, but they have opposite directions. Kind of like this bow tie. One side pulls left, the other side pulls right, and if you pull them the wrong way, you just end up in a big ugly knot. So stick around. I will show you how to untangle these tricky word pairs so your English sounds smooth, clear, and confident. And you're going to want to stay through to the end when we go to the Mastery Minute, and I'll share an idiom that really shows you how to nail it. Okay? Now, and one more thing. If you've ever gotten stuck on one of these word pairs or confusing words, drop your question in the chat anytime, and I will answer a few at the end of the show. So let's jump right into it. And let me tell you about Marco. Marco is a tech manager in Singapore. Very smart guy, very organized. He's great at his job. But every now and again, he would use words that confused his teammates. He told me the story. One meeting he said, please remind me the idea we discussed yesterday. Oh, kind of strange. His coworker paused and said, you mean remember? Like, please remember the idea we had yesterday? And they ended up having a 5-minute debate about grammar. A lot of people speak English in Singapore, so they were catching Marco. Well, Marco told me afterwards that he thought he knew the difference, but he didn't. So what we did was we made a simple chart. We started with 2 columns, 1 column for each word, so that whenever there was a confusing word, he would know, or a pair of words, he would know the difference. And the next time he had to speak, he nailed it. Because sometimes it's not about learning new words. Sometimes you just need to master the words you already know. So today, today we're going to clear up the confusion once and for all. We're going to talk about word pairs that are easy to mix up, but once you get the logic, you'll never forget. I promise. At least I hope not. Did you ever pause mid-sentence because you're not sure if it's affect or effect? Or hesitate when you want to say lay down, but wonder if it should be lie down instead? You're not alone. These tricky English pairs, they even trip up native English speakers. It's true. They can cause awkward moments at work, in meetings, or when you're trying to sound confident. So today, we're going to look at 5 of the most commonly confused English word pairs and break them down with logic, examples, and real-world phrases that you can start using immediately, right away. So let's jump into the first pair. Affect versus effect. They sound the same, right? Affect and effect. This is a classic pair of words that throws off even advanced learners or even native speakers. And the confusion comes from the fact that they're both related to change. but they play very different roles in a sentence. Affect is actually a verb, and it means to influence or to change something. Effect is a noun, and it's the result of a change. So if you think of it like this, if you affect something, you're causing the effect. Oh my gosh. If you affect something, you're causing the effect. EFF. Okay, see, it's confusing, right? For example, you might say the weather can affect our travel plans, meaning the weather influences or changes the plans. Or for effect or effect, we'll say the new marketing strategy had a positive effect on sales. It caused a result, an increase in sales. They're almost exactly the same pronunciation. And when you're speaking quickly, that's when it gets in trouble. It really only matters when you're writing because you have to spell it. When you're speaking, it just kind of comes out. So I had a student once told me, this news will have a big effect on the team, with a big A, right? Effect. And I smiled and said, that's close, but effect is the action. Effect is the result. So we rewrote it together. This news will have a big effect on the team. So you can actually work on the pronunciation. Affect, effect. All right, you can replace it. Think of it like this. If you can replace it with influence or change, use effect. If you can replace it with result, use effect. I know it's hard. It's all right. We're going to roll through these. Okay, next one. Complement versus complement. Another two words that sound the same. And it's tricky because they are almost identical. But they mean entirely different things. Compliment with an I is praise that you give someone. Something nice you say about a person or their work or their outfit, or something nice that someone says about you. But compliment with an E is something that matches or enhances something. It's a match. So that's the big difference. Again, it only matters in spelling when you are writing, but it also does matter in speaking as well. She gave me a compliment on my presentation. She said something nice. Versus the new software complements our current tools perfectly. They work well together. Notice, compliment with an I. She gave me a compliment. It's a noun. This new software complements. It's a verb. It's an action. It does the thing. It complements. So one of my students was writing a thank you email to a coworker and wrote, "Thanks for the compliment," with an E. And I asked her, I said, was she praising you for your work or improving it? And she laughed and corrected it. Oh, she changed it to compliment with an I. So remember, if it is praise, it's a compliment. If it's a perfect match, it's compliment. Got it? All right. Let's move on to this one. This one even got me because I like to say lay down, but that's not always the right way to do it. This one causes trouble even for native speakers like me because the past tense of lie is lay. I know, English is crazy, right? But lay is something you do to an object. You put something down on the table, like you lay it down. Lie is something that you do yourself. You yourself, or you tell someone else, go lie down. It means to recline or rest. just like in the picture there on the slide. So you could say, please lay the folder on my desk. You're putting the folder somewhere, right? Or you could say, I need to lie down after that long meeting. Oh, it was so hard. Oh, these days, that's the way things go, right? So a friend of mine once said, I'm going to lay down, which is totally normal. But I used to be a grammar Nazi, so I smiled and said, unless you're laying a baby to sleep, I think you mean lie down. And he laughed, and he never forgot the error. But yeah, friends do that. We tease each other. So remember, lay it down. Lay it down means you do the laying of something else. Lay it down, but lie down yourself. And listen, don't stress too much about this. The present tense, the past tense, the forms, people will still understand you, but it's very helpful to learn the present tense and the past tense differences. So, again, don't stress about this. This is kind of splitting hairs. This is advanced level stuff. All right, the next one. Borrow versus lend. Now, these are all about direction. Okay? Who gives and who receives. Borrow means you take something temporarily. Lend means you give something temporarily. And I get this error a lot. Please borrow, like you could say, I borrowed a pen from my coworker. I borrowed a pen. I took it temporarily. She lent me, lent is the past tense, lent me her charger. She gave it to me temporarily. I get this so often. People say things like, can you borrow me a pencil? And I just smile and say, only if you can lend me your grammar. So it's just, you have to understand the difference between who's doing the giving and who's taking. The common mistake is, can you borrow me your phone? No, the correct answer would be, can you lend me your phone? Or can I borrow your phone? Okay? So remember, you borrow from someone, like I borrow money from the bank, or you lend to someone. I lent money to my friend. They better pay me back soon. So the last one we got here is remember. I think it's the last one. Yeah, it is. Remember versus remind. This is all about who takes the action. Okay? Remember is something you do yourself. It's in your head. Remind is something that someone helps you to remember. Someone is helping you. For example, I remembered your birthday. I did it on my own. It's all me. I did it. I remembered your birthday. Happy birthday, by the way. Somebody's birthday out there. Or someone could say, can you remind me to send the invoice? Or remind me, when is your birthday? That means you help me to remember. Remember, remind. I had a client once who said, I want to remind this client's name. I said, do you want me to remind you, or do you want to remember it yourself? Haha, she laughed, and then she corrected herself. Right, I want to remember it. So if the action comes from you, it's remember. If it's someone else helping you, it's remind. So remember, when you're stuck, ask yourself, what's the direction of the action? Am I doing it, or is someone helping me do it? So English is full of hidden logic. You find these words all the time. I've only given you 5 word pairs. But once you start to see the pattern, the confusing pairs start to make a lot more sense. So let me give you your action, your challenge for today. I want you to pick one of today's word pairs and practice using it 3 different ways. Maybe in a message, a comment, or even a voice note to a friend. Write it down, say it out loud, Make it part of your memory so you don't need a reminder for next time. And listen, if you want to go deeper and practice habits like this every day, check out my course, Mastering English for Busy Professionals. Just 10 minutes a day to train your brain to think in English. The link is in the description. And now it's time for the Mastery Minute. Wow, we have hit it right on the nose. The phrase of today, the idiom for today is hit the nail on the head. Hit the nail on the head. Bang! This idiom means to describe a situation perfectly. You say exactly the right thing at the right time. Imagine you're trying to fix something. Maybe you're doing some work on your house with some wood, and you just take one swing, pang, and you hit the nail dead center. That is what this phrase means. It's all about being accurate and spot on. So how does this sound in a sentence? Well, you can use it like this. Well, when Sarah said our sales problem was really a marketing problem, she hit the nail on the head. You want to use this expression when someone gives the perfect answer, or you want to praise their sharp insight in a meeting. So try this in your next conversation. Simple. That's a great point. You really hit the nail right on the head. It really does come in handy. People say this all the time to say, wow, good point. It sounds sharp. It sounds professional. It sounds like a native. And when you use it well, people will say and feel like, hey, you nailed it. Literally. So I want you to stick around. No, don't stick around. This is the end. That's it for episode 46. We cleared up some common word mix-ups that even advanced learners struggle with. And next time, we are tackling what to say when you don't know the answer without sounding unprofessional. So we're going to talk about smart, confident alternatives to I don't know, plus some phrases that'll help you stay in the conversation and keep your credibility. It's perfect for meetings, interviews, and tricky on-the-spot questions. And if you found today's episode helpful, give it a like, hit that subscribe, and share this with a friend who always borrows your grammar tips. And until next time, stay curious, stay kind, keep mastering English one smart habit at a time. See you next time.